I think what Adam and I hope to open up today for discussion and education is, not so much showing here's what a DSPM finished product looks like, but helping you understand as you're going down this journey to achieve the goals of a DSPM, what are some of the obstacles and stumbling blocks you might run into, so you can identify them up front and plan for them, rather than by the time you're already halfway down the road and it might be a little bit too late to reverse course. So one of the things I always like to start with when having these conversations is the cloud shared responsibility models that are out there. So depending on which provider you're using, it'll be a little bit different. This is an illustration of both Microsoft's and Amazon's, but every cloud provider has similar concepts, which is they're responsible for keeping things running and you're responsible for keeping things secure. Yes, the cloud provider will give you tools and capabilities that you can use and leverage in order to keep your data secure, but it's ultimately your responsibility. So if you leave your S3 bucket open to the internet and your data shows up on Google, that's not on Amazon, that's on you. That's how they phrase it, and that's basically what we all sign up for when we start to put our data in the cloud. So I think we've observed, many organizations go into this, but maybe you don't fully understand just how much responsibility is on your shoulders when it comes to the cloud. You might expect that Microsoft's going to alert you when you have a misconfigured storage container, or Amazon will tell you when there's a suspicious activity occurring on your data. And sometimes it's true and sometimes it's not. So you need to go into this with eyes wide open that the security of your data as you put it into these multiple cloud providers is up to your organization. And hopefully you get the organizational buy-in to put the right people and tools in place to keep that data secure. But that's a very important part of DSPM, is understanding where the responsibilities lie. And when we go a level deeper, I think it's interesting to illustrate the point with a specific objective. And we see lots of organizations, when it comes to securing your data, embarking on a DSPM journey, it usually starts with understanding data classification. Where do you have sensitive data? What is sensitive data for your organization? What are your compliance requirements? Are you beholden to PCI or HIPAA? Do you have to identify data for EU GDPR? So what does sensitive information mean to you? And once you have that understanding, you're going to want to go out and discover where that information resides. If you're using multiple cloud providers, that means, where do I have data in my Microsoft 365, my Teams, my OneDrive? On Amazon, that might mean, where do I have it in my RDS database instances? Where do I have it in my S3 buckets? So you need to be able to discover all of this. And then typically the next step in the journey is applying labels and classifying it so that you can have downstream protections, so that data can be blocked on the perimeter from leaving your organization through email, USB, things like that, to prevent it from leaking out. And also you can have proper monitoring alerting in place. And this table here highlights, if you were to use native controls from these vendors in order to go out and do this, you'd experience significant disparity in what you're able to accomplish in each. You don't have the same support for what data is available in each. You can't scan for the same information types. Information types meaning different criteria: driver's license numbers, social security numbers, passports from all the EU nations that you might be beholden to for EU GDPR. Once you find those information types, can you search inside the file? Can you do OCR on the file to look for optical character recognitions, to scan images, and so on and so forth? So understanding what these platforms provide natively and how you can tap into it is one key part to embarking on a DSPM journey, deciding what you're going to use from native controls and what you might need to go outside and look for. So this is an area I wanted to give a quick demo to illustrate, just what those differences might be, so you can see it for yourself. So I am going to attempt to screen share here and do a live demo.